There's a white nurse that's going to share what she's learned about police officers that she's worked with, in the community, and how she understands how the situation with Sonya Massey even happened. Let's go ahead and roll that.
As a nurse, when I say all cops are bad, it's because I work with them. It's because I work with them enough to know that the good cops are so few and far between, that the shit like Sonya Massey's case is so unsurprising to me, so deeply unsurprising to me, and yet still made me physically ill when I watched that video. Sonya called the cops herself because she thought there was an intruder at her home. They then went to her home, started questioning her, entered her home, were suspicious of her. Mind you, she had called them, asked her for her identification. And then when they noticed that she was in the middle of cooking dinner with a pot of boiling water on the stove to make pasta, they said, hey, can you go attend to that pot of boiling water? And then when she did that, they fired 6 times into her head. As a nurse, when I say that racism is a public health crisis, I mean it. And when I say racism is a public health crisis and a lot of the perpetrators are other healthcare workers, I mean it. Because the amount of healthcare workers that I genuinely don't think even understand that there's an issue with our policing system in this country is so upsetting. But it's the truth. They fired at her 6 times over a pot of boiling water that they asked her to attend to. Her last words were, I'm sorry. She ducked and said, I'm sorry. I will never forget that. The whole thing is on video. And then none of the cops held the guy who killed her accountable. He stopped his partner from offering her assistance. His partner gave up. Not that it would have mattered, because 6 rounds into someone's head, beyond assistance. When I say it's all cops, I mean it. I mean it. Because we allow the most untrained, unbelievably violent and racist human beings and bigoted human beings to become law enforcement in this country.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the horse's mouth. She, as a white woman and a nurse, is telling you that the majority of these police, definitely from her community for sure, is no good. She's telling you there's no good cops. So, many of us have said it over the years, but she's telling you. She worked with them. She see how they act. She see how they move. And that's why, to be honest with you, a lot of white women like her don't even like to fool with some of them like that. And also, white women like her is called DEI hires as well. Because, they throw it at us, but they also throw it at white women, too. Because they don't want white women to have a job or white women to have a position or whatever. I believe everything she's saying. I don't doubt nothing she's saying. I've been saying that. There's no way you can have that entity the way it run and the majority is corrupt. Because I've covered so many stories over the years of good police officers, courageous police officers exposing those who are doing wrong, and they had to leave their jobs. Some of their lives are threatened. Some of them was trying to be ran off the road and all kind of other things by other cops because they exposed their racism, they exposed their corruption, their filth. That's just really what it is. That's why black people took to the streets so many times to try to rein them in. That's why they did that, because they were just doing too much. And when you look at a case like Sonya Massey, the work isn't over as of yet. We haven't seen a case like that in some years, but the work isn't done. And it was all on body cam too. And yet, even with body cams, they still feel comfortable doing certain things. Now, of course, the guy was charged in the case and all of that. Police unions didn't support this guy, and that's good. That's the police union not supporting him. He's not getting no support because it was just blatant what he did. If the police union's not supporting you, it's just blatant. And they put that man in jail because if they wouldn't have put him in jail and that video came out, the city would have had a problem. It would have had a major problem. But, shout out to her for being a truth teller. Shout out to her. But also, it's not just police. It's also in them hospitals, too. Nurses, doctors that come from their community. A lot of them got anti-black racism, too. Paramedics, firemen got anti-black racism, too. It's not just the police. I always tell people that. It's the politicians. Everything that they control, everything they dominate, anti-black racism is in it because that's part of the culture. It's cultural. You can't say it's individual because if it was just an individual thing or a time thing, then all that would have ended, let's say, after the civil rights movement. It would have been gone, right? But let's call it what it is. You're going to continue racism because you got senators and congresspeople that grew up in the time period of segregation, Jim Crow, etc., still in Congress today, passing down their ideology to the youth. That's why we say we need a clean sweep and to start over with leadership. And we need to have Gen X, Millennial, and Gen Z run the yard now. That is bottom line. Because, Gen X didn't grow up in a time period where it was the civil, all the stuff with the civil rights and movement and the Klan. We didn't grow up like that. Not at all. So we need a new slate of people to come in. That's why America, in a way, is held back. We sit up here and let all the people that belong in Shady Pines run the country. It's why we can't get past anything. But, hey, okay, now this woman said, what's going to happen with that? I always said this, if you really want to clean up police departments, just put them all on lie detector tests and just ask them a few questions. That's it. Let's say, do you use any kind of racial slurs against any group of people? Have you did it? Have you done it today or in the past few months? Have you shared any anything from any group of people, memes, posts on social media? You would have, the majority of them police departments are empty tomorrow if they put them on lie detector tests. Trust me on that. You'll empty tomorrow. A lot of them will quit because they know good and well they couldn't pass them tests. And it's just bottom line because the majority of them is no good.